Craig Parker here from Parker's Property Sourcing. Just coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about the hidden costs of buy-to-let nobody talks about. Yeah, I'm here to be, as I said before in previous videos, I'm here to be 100% honest and transparent with you guys. I am currently, at this time of recording this video, a property portfolio landlord, and I've got an investment portfolio of 5 properties in and around the UK, and there are some hidden costs that not a lot of people would talk about, but I think it is important to talk about it because, you know, sharing is caring, firstly, and, you know, I think it's good that people can learn from my mistakes. I've learned from many other people's mistakes from all the courses that I've done and the mentorship that I've had. So, you know, this is just a video of a few, you know, hidden costs or not talked about costs that can pop up when, you know, building up a buy-to-let portfolio. And the truth of the matter is, if we don't talk about this, there's one major thing that would happen, and it can kill our profits. It's plain and simple. And we're in this investment game to make money, not to lose money. So, your management fees, something that's not always spoke about, especially with like some deal sources as well. You know, you got to really go do all of your numbers from A all the way down to Z. You got to really crunch every single possible number. Yeah. So the typical management fee of an estate agent or management company is between 8 and 12% of what the rent is. Yeah. So you can do. There's 2 things you can do here with using an estate agent or a management company. You can use the full service, or you can use just a tenant find. A tenant find is also just a percentage of the rent, and then all they do is they find you the tenant, get them moved in, they take their cut, they're on their way. You've got to manage it yourself as the landlord. Me personally, I wouldn't go down this route because I feel like, you know, I'm buying property to make it passive. I don't want to know about anything on a month to month or week to week basis, to be honest. So me personally, I'll always go for the full service. The estate agents that I'm working with at the moment and management companies, they're charging me 10% of what the rental income is on a monthly basis. And I think it's good value for money, to be honest. They're happy, I'm happy, they deal with the tenant deals with them, I'm out of the way. That money coming in for me is just passive. But management fees are a fee that we've got to look out for. Insurance and compliance. So some of the stuff that doesn't get mentioned is landlord insurance. It's a must. It covers you for so much. There's loads of different lenders out there. I'll leave that to you guys to have a look for yourself on the market, but you definitely do need landlord insurance. To be fair as well, some of the lenders, so that's the mortgage lenders, won't allow you to complete unless you've got landlord insurance in place, which is really good because it's a necessity in my opinion, and it covers you. You know, it really does cover you. And then compliance, your gas, your EPC, your electrical certificates, all of these things you need legally, but they come at a cost. So we've got to make sure that we're catering these things in and knowing about what these costs are just before we agree on a deal to purchase the property. Maintenance. So my rule of thumb would be to budget 5 to 10% of the monthly rent on a monthly basis to cover your maintenance costs, to be honest. And, you know, your bigger items are your boilers and your roofs. To be honest, another bit of advice that I'd give, you buy a property and you're doing your refurb, put a new boiler in. They usually last 10 years if you get a good one, 10 to 15 years. So at least then you know you've bought the boiler and it's going to last you 10 to 15 years. What you don't want to do is use an old boiler. You've done your numbers, the boiler breaks, you've got to be paying out £1,000+ to get a new one put in, so on and so forth. It's a headache you don't want. And then the roofs as well are a good one. Make sure you get some roofers in, get them checked out, get all your guttering checked. Because little things like that, again, it's just me talking from experience. Get it out of the way, so then you're just receiving your money on a monthly basis with no headache. But always, always, always budget 5 to 10% of the rent. Put it to one side on a monthly basis, just in case. Voids, again, you don't really want any voids, but this is another hidden cost that people don't talk about. But you might buy a property and the refurb might take you get the key, for example, the refurb might take you 3 months with nobody in there. That is a void period, and you are going to have to stomach the cost of that. So you really need to factor that into your return on your investment. If you've got good builders like mine and a good team behind you like I have, you might be able to get your refurb done quicker, depending on the works. But I would say, 1 to 2 months per year, factor in for voids when you're working out your return on your investment, because you just never know. Legislation changes is a massive one. So EPC upgrades, some properties are rated quite low, and the government are making some changes. So you got to look out for it as an investor. If your property is a grade, say D or below, and the legislations might change where it needs to be C or above, you're going to have to make sure you get the upgrades and make the changes. That might be new windows, that might be new insulin, that might be new roofing, that might be new flooring. It could be anything, whatever gets your EPC grade up. So you've got to, that's a hidden cost that people won't talk about, but you've got to make sure that you're prepared for something like that, because that can really, really catch you out. So that's something to bear in mind as well as an investor, a new investor or a seasoned investor. The legislation changes for the EPC upgrades are imminent, and also, they could happen anytime. So you've got to make sure we're looking out for that also. So here's an example. You might work out your return on your investment to be 12% on the deal. You're happy days. And then after all these hidden costs I've spoke to you about that you haven't catered in, and I've seen it happen before, I've networked with people that have told me these things, and it's kind of put them off of investing. After all their hidden costs, their return on investment works out to be 7%, which is still not the worst if you ask me, because it's still making more money for yourself than it would be sitting in the bank. But we want to be up the higher end of the 15% or more. We got to make sure that we're catering in for all the costs, the hidden costs, the voids, potential voids, the potential maintenance fees. We got to cater in for all of that. So our expected return on our investment is our actual return on our investment, and not after hidden costs, nearly half. That's just been another video today. I hope you've enjoyed. These are the things that aren't the best and glamorous to talk about, but we have to crunch our numbers. We have to make sure that we're on the ball, that we're smart, savvy investors, and to be all of that above, we have to make sure that we're catering in for all these hidden costs and making sure that we're catering in for any voids or any maintenance that may happen, or any changes the government want to make with EPC ratings. And we've got to make sure we just cater that all in. So when we're crunching our numbers and when we're making offers to the vendors and the estate agents, we can justify why we're going in below market value sometimes, or we can justify why we're putting an offer in less than what it is actually up for on the market, because we got to make sure that we're covering ourselves for all of the stuff we spoke about in this video. I've been Craig Parker. Until next time.